Dear Andreas, we are talking to proven experts about the topic of narratives and storytelling in museums. You are the Director General of the Cultural Department of the Federal Foreign Office. That means you are responsible for the concept of cultural policy.
Thank you very much, Matthias, for participating in your challenge.
First question. We live in times of hyper-globalization. COVID-19 has made this very clear to us. At the same time, we have to note the tendency of nationalization in many areas. What role, my question, what role can culture, what role can museums play in developing narratives that makes it possible to tackle global challenges together in global contexts?
It is part of my job to develop, to conceptualize, and to export a German narrative. On the other side, I'm developing concepts which I called a couple of years ago a post-national state cultural policy. So a concept to go beyond that geographical and political unity we call a national state. And my input to your challenge would be, don't try to find a solution, just manage the tension. It is important that museums reflect in a discourse in a national state or a town or what we call a federal state, because they are paid by those taxpayers' money, because they have a responsibility to that public space, and in the same time, to address to the museums, develop concepts and communication strategies, how to train your people into a global responsibility, because there's no single challenge in the 21st century which can be solved only on the basis of a national state.
The collections in the museums in Europe and America are, if we have a look at the treasures from Africa, Asia, or South America, are a product of asynchronical relations. This is true even if the collections are not the result of an act of war or robbery. How can museums support a dialogue at eye level with the countries of origin?
This is one of the most really difficult points to be addressed, I think. The framing of your question and the framing of the actual discourse is that we feel in Europe that we could lose something. And I think we have to develop an idea that we will not lose anything if it's displayed in another part of that world. An object of universal value will not lose its value when it's displayed in Lagos and it has been displayed beforehand in Berlin. It will remain a universal value. And we have developed concepts to make ourselves aware of that fact. The very concrete answer to your question is, well, let's develop corporations in which a German museum and the German government take responsibility to support cultural infrastructures, be it meeting rooms, be it museums, be it other kinds of cultural infrastructures in other countries. We made a first step in putting into force a fund to support cultural infrastructure in our partner countries. And together with the Ministry of Cooperation and the Ministry of Culture, we are developing a concept for an agency dedicated to the international cooperation of the museums. And hopefully we will convince our colleagues in the Ministry of Finance and then the members of Parliament to go that way and to invest into common universal infrastructure in other countries.
At the time when the concept of the Humboldt Forum was originally developed, it was a project of proudness. The vision was to create a space in the center of the capital of Germany to present the treasures from all over the world. But meanwhile, the debate about provenance research and decolonization of museums came up. That means we need a new vision, a new narrative for the Humboldt Forum. And that was my question. What approach would you choose to achieve this goal?
You're absolutely right. There is a major shift. There's a major shift in the last 20 years. So when the idea of the Humboldt Forum of, at that time it was called an agora, that the Humboldt Forum had the vocation to be an agora for international discourses. This idea was born in a German society which was quite sure about his own values. I would not say pride or proudness, but there had been a kind of assurance. And from that assurance, we would accept, or we would formalize, a dialogue on eye level. And what we have seen in the last 20 years is that Germany lost in a way that assurance of itself. And the German discourse is becoming a battlefield for different narratives. And that certainly has consequences for the concept of the Humboldt Forum. So we welcome and we support financially and by ideas any initiative going beyond displaying what we have to cooperate and to co-work, make it a co-working space on the universal values. And I think that is a really thrilling challenge for those who bear the heavy responsibility for the Humboldt Forum. Also for our institutions who are born in the spirit to do international cultural policies from Germany to other countries, have to rethink their structures and their content, and to be not only to be aware, but really to accept the consequences of an international cooperation, cultural cooperation, which will make Germany a country in which beauty is not defined by homogeneity, but by diversity. If we succeed in that, if we succeed to understand that diversity is the basis of beauty, then we will reshape a cultural policy, international policies, for which it will be much easier to deal with the diversity in the world, because we would have accepted that this is the core of our own beauty.
Dear Andreas, it was a pleasure to talk to you, and thank you very much for being part of ICOM Challenge 2020.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much to all the participants, and we would support you in your efforts wherever you want us. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye-bye and see you soon.
Bye.